Like everything that's known for growth marketing as those tactics may go obsolete in just a couple of years time, because like it may, let's say there's now, chat GPT, AI stuff, there is now TikTok, like which you've never heard before. So like the median change, like everything can change all of a sudden. So the adaptation and then becomes vital. And once you adapt, you're actually playing the same game. You're working with data, understanding what sells, and trying to implement, more of that. That's actually can be applied to a popcorn stand or just to apply to a, huge corporation like Microsoft, Google, whatever you can think of.
How does growth marketing work in a service-based business where there's not a lot of data information? How, if somebody's a fractional COO, say, of a manufacturing company or something, how would they apply growth marketing to their business?
So if our listeners are saying, it's like, wow, this is really cool. This Bulut guy is really smart, and I need to start doing some of this stuff. What, as they're starting to implement growth marketing in their businesses, what are some of the common mistakes you've seen businesses make when they started to try going down the growth marketing road? And then how do they avoid them? All right, I am super excited about this show because we're going to dive into a really cool topic, and we're going to talk all about marketing, and specifically growth marketing, and what it is and how we can utilize it to grow our businesses, and why it's a term that we actually need to know. And Donnie and I neither had actually heard of it before we started prepping for the show. So we brought on a guest who is an expert in this and is going to totally be able to teach us and help us integrate this into our business. So Bulut, welcome. We are excited to have you on the show.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here. I was looking forward to this.
Awesome. So I want to start off with the question just to really set the stage so everyone understands what we're talking about. What is growth marketing, and how is it different from what people normally think about when they hear the term marketing?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the question that I get when I tell someone what I do. So it's actually in any SaaS business, like anything on the internet, is just what they do is growth marketing, not marketing. Marketing is, from broader sense, is actually dead if you take my perspective for a second. So just think about
it. I want to make sure I heard that so everybody can get that. You just said marketing is dead. All right, continue.
We are going to get emails now.
Yeah. So it's like it's evolved into something we do today. So like, you heard of 4 Ps, right? Product, price, promotion, place. That used to be the norm. But like when that was the norm, the world was not as crowded as it is. Internet was not out there. So like if you had the budget, it was done. If you had good messaging, kind of someone's like famous, good median, you were done. And like right now it's impossible because everybody has just think about it. You can just spend millions of dollars in Google AdWords in the matter of just a couple of hours. So having a lot of money doesn't make you, win markets. So that's actually where growth marketing comes in. It's marketing, by the term, focused on growth, but it's done with a lot of experimentation and with data. So you test, you do A/B tests, you run, analyze your funnel. You look at every single stage of the user funnel and understand what actually works and what doesn't. Improve your game, then you start pouring in money so that you can get returns. So that's growth marketing.
How is that different than A/B testing or data analytics or all the things that I did growing up around the marketing world?
Yeah. So these are actually tools for establishing a proper growth marketing game. So growth marketing game is fully relying on those techniques. That's how it's generally like the messaging. For example, just think about it. You could have a perfect messaging, a celebrity-backed campaign, and you have the budget and so forth. You can just go out there and you'll be aiming brand awareness, right? But it might make no sense at all if you're a SaaS company because you need people to come to your landing, sign up, try the product, come back again. So you need to have like, if you take the world of marketing and combine with data science, it's actually what you get.
So I think one of the big differences as I listened to you, Bulut, is, the traditional marketing had the big marketing campaign, the Budweiser, Clydesdales, Doritos, they all had specific marketing campaigns they launched that were designed to drive sales for their products. When you're looking at growth marketing, especially in the tech world, the marketing doesn't stop when someone hits the trial button. You're now looking at, all right, so how do we convert that trial? How do we have to communicate with them during that trial period to make sure they're using the product? How do we get them to be more engaged and actually create things so that when now they have to give me money, they're like, oh yeah, this actually works really well. So I think there's a lot of that where it's the iteration and the A/B testing is done at much more at a detailed level than standard marketing ever used to. Standard marketing would do a big A/B
perfectly
test
put, by the way. Yeah, perfectly put. Yeah.
So really quick, just to make sure, because I'm sure some of our listeners are sitting in the same thought process I am, is growth marketing only kick in after they've engaged, or is it the entire process beforehand? Because I still don't fully understand the separation between what I've always looked at as marketing and the different growth marketing, because with anything, you're going to test, try, you're going to throw a lot of information at, you're going to need a lot of data, you're going to move and adjust based on results. So break it down more Big Bird style for me so I can fully wrap my head around this.
Yeah, so Donnie's a Marine. If you can draw pictures with crayons, he'll like that.
Yeah, I'll try to pull back my whiteboard. So, by the way, Kevin, that was a perfect explanation. So,
see, Donnie.
Well, something to learn from Kevin for all of us. So, from where we look at it, traditional marketing ends when the user gets to meet with the brand. That's from where we look at it. But from growth marketing, there is a lot. It's mainly, it's much more plausible when it's done in a SaaS world and tech world. Just let it be. It could be e-commerce, it could be an app like Uber, it could be Facebook, whatever. But it needs to be done over internet so that you would have the capability of measurement. But I really like to put this example. So it's not like only, so it doesn't start when the user hits the sign up button, for example, and then, the steps following that is not only covered by that, but it covers the entire process of the user journey. So there are different, let's say methods, tactics that you can apply. For example, just think about this. So you never end up start your search of a shoe, right, with some exact brand on your mind if you didn't previously purchase from that brand. Or if you're buying headphones, you probably purchased an headphone. I see that you purchased some headphones. Yeah. So I did so. This doesn't come with iPhone, right? So back in the day, iPhone used to come with their cable headphones. They were terrible. So you started to search for something. So that search, the initial search, for example, you end up buying a particular brand, let's say. It's not that's just the last step. The initial steps starts by you searching online, what's better than this? Where can I buy this? What are the alternatives? From where I can buy this thing? And, ask your friend, whatever, all of this is parts of the user journey. So you have different tools to attack user, through that funnel. So this is the part where, it's, just think about it as a funnel, right? So traditional marketing does a great job targeting that part that I mentioned with messaging, with, display ads, branding, whatever, so you can ever think of. So in the growth, funnels that we call, for example, there's one that's really famous, called AARRR. You might have just heard it, but if you can just Google it. it'll just pop up. It's called pirate metrics because of, R, comes from there.
Fair
So
enough.
this is only covered like the first A, meaning the awareness part, only covering what I've spoken till now. But after that, like for example, you're aware that you have a problem. Then there is the acquisition stage, another A in the funnel. So you came up with a brand, and then visit their website. So generally, in the traditional marketing journey, the journey ends there. You hit sign up, and it ends there. But if you go into tech world, there's also a completely different journey that starts after you hit the sign up button. So you need to become an active user. So this is a completely different journey. So when you're an active user, it's not enough still. You need to become a retained user. You need to come back again and again because everything is provided with a freemium approach. So finally, after that, you'll be able to, pay the company, and comes the final R. So looking at, all these stages in tunnel vision, setting metrics, setting up metrics for each of them, doing a lot of experimentation for each step, like transition of steps. This is actually growth marketing. So then you understand what works.
All right, I finally wrapped my head around that, and I got it somewhere along. Once upon a time, when I worked for a company called Cardinal Health, we did a huge ad campaign where we had all of our logos and stuff put inside the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team stadium. So people, if they saw the logo, may go to the stores that we were trying to get to them. But that's where traditional marketing stopped, because now they're in the stores, mission accomplished, right? Growth marketing is taking that step and then going, okay, cool. What's the next purchase? What's the next purchase? What's the next? How do we get them coming back and back and back? So my question is, I understand it really hardcore in the SaaS side of things, right? Because there's a lot of data that you're able to capture off somebody, especially if they're online. How does growth marketing work in a service-based business where there's not a lot of data information? How, if somebody's a fractional COO, say, of a manufacturing company or something, how would they apply growth marketing to their business?
Yeah. So data is vital, but depth of data is, completely different chapter. So you don't the more you know about the customer, the better, because, you need to be making, a lot of data centric decisions, because generally when you're applying this type of marketing, it's you have a huge funnel. For example, in JotPhone, for example, we have 20 million people coming there, so you cannot handle everyone one by one. But if you if you based on what you ask me, say that I have only 10 customers, right, in a month of time, so just ask, you might have seen while you're filling a contact sales form, there's something where did you heard about us? Where did you hear about us? So this is kind of an introduction to it. So you're asking customer that data question, actually, where did you hear about me? So that, I can spend more money down there. And then, let's say you have 10 customers that you sell to, 100 of them coming in every month, and you end up selling it to 10 of those. So you just ask them, where did you hear about me? And then if you see there's a spike in one of those things, you may just end up spending more money the following month. And if you have instead of 100 people, 200 people coming, and then instead of 10, 15 are coming in, that's pretty much, in a very basic sense, you're applying the same thing.
So how do we do that then on volume? So getting their information, like how you heard of us, is one way to collect data. How else can we collect data to be able to evaluate and make bigger and better marketing decisions?
Yeah, there are, a lot of tools out there. It's actually, data analytics, web analytics become a sector of its own. So, for example, my initial recommendation, you need to have some third-party tools, in place, and much of them are, many of them are actually free of charge. So, you can just, for example, Google Analytics is kind of a must. There are alternatives to it, paid version, paid solutions like Hotjar, Full Story, which can give you some further data. But there has not been a single company in tech world, not even tech world, I can say somewhere with a website that doesn't have Google Analytics, so that it gives you there are data privacy issues that they cannot give you much in-depth detail, but it can help you create very easy funnels that you can, if that's only on your website. And if that's, if you have a product in the back that's a web-based product, or just assume that you have a shopping cart that you sell, I don't know, like coffee online, right? Not a high-tech thing. But like you can still tune like tools like Google Analytics or like Yandex has some for you versions to different stages of your shopping cart, so that you can understand where does people drop, where does people come from, or like can make more complex decisions like people coming from, let's say, ads that I put on Instagram drop more in the second stage of my funnel than the guys coming from Facebook. Then try to understand why.
Yeah, I think thinking about some of the coaches and consultant types that we work with, Donnie, that are setting up their membership communities now. I think that is a big source of data for them. And as I'm thinking about ours with SCN Online, what is our growth marketing strategy once a new member accesses our online community? What are our steps of how are we integrating them? When we did the Facebook group, we did growth marketing. We had the onboarding sequence. So it was like, all right, go tell us about this. Now go click on this thing. And, and we were able to see who was active and who wasn't in the back end of that group. I think for, people, especially in the coaching consulting world, that want to do that type of membership area to grow their audience and get away from the big, Facebook meta boogeyman, understanding how to, they are, but they're a business. They're out to make money. That's cool. No, nothing against that. But they are the back ends of those membership tools that they're using are going to be a huge area where they can get some data and they'll be able to see who's posting. These people haven't posted in SCN Online at all. We need to do something to get them active. These people are posting all the time, so they're how do we engage them to do other things other than just post? So I think that's a way people can use growth marketing easily.
And I'm curious, Bulut, how when you're starting to look at some of the different analytics and some of the data you can get your hand on, what kind of things outside of where'd you come from, that initial question, what are we looking for? So just in our case, we have an online community where all of our members hang out. And so we get a lot of data on the back end on their actions and the things that they're doing and or not doing. What things should we be looking at to drive, I'm going to say first, engagement, because engagement in a community like that is huge, but two, drive them wanting to be on the platform more, if you will.
Yeah. So, like, for example, if I were your consultant, right, the initial thing that I would look into is trying to understand the attributes. By attributes, what I mean, like their demographic information, their sources, what they did, their actions, every single piece of data that I can get my hands on, and try to understand the the things that kind of separate the engaged people than the others. So there should definitely be something that makes them, just think about a spider graph. Like you should have seen it in in some PlayStation games, you see like that. This guy runs faster. So just think about it to make it easier. So there should be something spiking on these people. The important thing is, that's where data comes into play. Like if you're looking into a very narrow data set, like for example, I can put it this way: we are all male, right? If you only have data, that's it. But if you have, like Caucasian male, it still doesn't give information. They are coming from all different parts of the world. So like it can go in, deeper and deeper and deeper. And eventually we'll find something that makes us different from each other so that we behave differently. Like, so I'm assuming that you have all the data But like if your platform doesn't provide you with that, it might be a wise idea to change that platform, or like, try to, get more hands on the data, and assume that you were able to find what makes that particular group different than the other, right? And then you come up like you mentioned, it was Kevin, mentioning A/B tests is a great example. So then you're able to come up with hypotheses, assuming like, all right, or like, just let me go back one more step. So what you can do is, if you don't have the data, you can just interview the guys. Say like you find out, 10 people who converted, to whatever you want them to do, and you find out 10 that doesn't, and you just interview them. Just ask them questions, meet them, arrange a Zoom call, and then ask them and try to understand, what makes them different. And then you'll be like, if the data is not there in your hand, then while asking your questions, you'll be able to learn them. And assume that you don't have data at all, right? Like, and you have a Facebook group, Facebook doesn't provide, I'm just assuming, and not too much intel, and like you just created 2 buckets of users, 10 one side, 10 the other. You ask them some questions, meet them one by one, and then, it will give you some clue. Until it gives you a clue, you need to keep on meeting that. Then once you get the clue, then starts the A/B testing part. Then, because like asking, you say, all right, like you come up with hypotheses of what could work, right? Then you say, all right, you say like, for example, that group that is engaged seems to have taken an action on my website, in that parts of the website, and they did this particular thing. So you find that out, let's say, and then you come up with ideas that would actually boost that behavior. And then you actually, right now you're doing growth marketing, you're setting an A/B test, and then you just pour more people there and see if they are actually the control group, treatment group that you've applied is behaving more like the group that you asked the questions and got the answers. I hope that, that was a very long
It does.
part,
No,
but like, I hope this answers something.
It actually does, and it actually gave me an idea of things we can do inside of the things we're doing, such as a follow-up survey for anybody who visited one of our groups and did not join. I'd love to find out the reasons behind that. So thank you for that. So now what I'm thinking is we get all these small business owners that listen to the show, and a lot of them are already confused with, I've got to do marketing. Now people are talking Facebook ads. Now they're talking Google ads. They're talking about all these different things. Yeah. And now we got a guy talking about this whole growth marketing strategy. They can barely wrap their head around, marketing in general, put it in a big box of advertising as a whole. How does a small business start to really implement an overall growth marketing mindset? Is that the right way of putting it? Or maybe ultimately to a strategy?
Yeah, I mean, if you search, if you try to do an search or you research on, Google, you will get that, like, growth marketing is, completely applied on tech world. But the mindset, as you put it, I really like how you put it. Mindset can be applied to anywhere. Anyway, it could not, it can't even be in, offline business. It could be something brick and mortar. I don't know, like it could be just a food stand somewhere in a shopping mall. All you have to do is, the mindset comes from this. You need to learn about your customer, who pays you, and what makes them happy, and learn about what brought them, in your shop, whatever you're selling. This is very critical. Like, assume I'll try to give you a very off example. Assume that you're selling bagels in a shopping mall in somewhere in a corner, right? There's actually a particular type of people probably coming at you, and there's probably some spike times. There's something happening when the days that you're making higher returns. It's actually something happening. It's because there's an anomaly. There's probably a sale downstairs, or like, I don't know, maybe they're just going to theaters to watch a movie and so on. So you need to understand, right, why they are buying from you, and what, what is the buying persona? How do you describe this guy? So like, if, for example, if you're selling popcorn and in the premiere days of some movies, it's jumping up, it makes, it just gives you that, all right, if there were more movies, I could have made more money. So as the popcorn guy, can you make more movies? No, but maybe you can go out there and make a campaign with those, movie theaters and try to offer some discount, or just put your ads within a mall, just next to the places where the, the theater advertising is shown, but not to anywhere else.
Or create your own damn screening night where you put up your own freaking projector and play movies, right?
Yeah. Like what I'm trying to say is you need to understand your customer, and then learn the entire journey. Then it's experimenting can be done anywhere.
Is it kind of like a cause and effect? I mean, just based off of that scenario, right? So because this is happening, it's causing this to happen. Is that really what you're getting at?
Yes, but you need to understand it by changing some attributes. Like you cannot just say, all right, I mean, that's happening because of that, and then you need to test it if the otherwise is working. Or just for example, if just think about the movie theater popcorn thing. I don't know, just if that's the reason that's making it rise, just try to do a discount on a day, or try to run a campaign with a movie theater, or just try to target people who are interested in movies on Facebook about your popcorn stand. That's kind of an off example, but it can give you some clue.
Popcorn stand, right?
I'm glad you asked that, Donnie, because actually I had a really similar question going through my head. One of the classes I was really good at, one of the few math classes I was really good at in college, was statistics. And there's this whole concept of correlation and causation. And you can have stats that correlate, this goes up, and so then this one goes up too, but doesn't mean there's actual causation. That's not the cause of it. So how should business owners, as they're starting to collect all this data and they're starting to see, if this happens, we're going to get more clients. How do they actually prove the causation piece? And that it's not just a correlated thing? Because people in the Main Street, in the world in general right now, are throwing out all kinds of stats and saying this is that causing this and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't think they understand the difference in the words. Yeah. So how does a business make sure they don't get stuck knowing that something's, seeing two stats and making correlation and just assuming that that's a cause effect relationship?
Yeah, actually, you give it I had an MBA, so my final thesis was on forecasting iron and iron prices. So that's kind of an area that I delved into. And that's, you will never in any business, even if you're Google or Microsoft, whatever, you will never have such granular understanding of what works, because it's impossible. But there is a perfect solution to it. Businesses need to be pragmatic. You don't have to be, as a statistician's mindset, you're not in science, you're not doing science stuff, but you need to be pragmatic. The easiest thing is, again, the A/B test. Like you say, all right, this makes, for example, turning the button here, color to it into green, makes my click rates increase. That's a pretty simple example. What you have to do is just show randomly is the keyword here. Randomly show one guy the green button, the other guy the blue button. And then if the green works better, you're acting pragmatic. Just turn it green. It means that you actually find out, what works, but you don't care about actually. I don't know if that answers your question, but why seeing green makes people buy is not your, you don't care about it. It's probably there's something in the behind, but in businesses, you need to be pragmatic. Just, if that works, it works.
Yeah, and I think there's certain things that I don't need to know why something happens. Why does blue make people click the button more over red or any of that type of stuff? But I think being able to say, well, this is actually the cause. That the blue was actually the reason they clicked more, as opposed to that it just happened to be a coincidence that, the blue buttons got more click. Maybe it was the wording on the button was actually the cause that got them to click through more. And people thinking, now all our buttons have to be blue. Well, No, you actually need to change all the wording on the button to that, because that's what got them to click.
Yeah. By the way, like if you're doing this on the tech realm or like in a SaaS world, it's really easy to measure that, because by the way, you don't change everything at once. You need to change, like you only can change the color, then understand, then change the CTA, and it moves on like this. And like there's the term that goes like statistically significant. When you divide, that you can just tech people listening to this would understand that. But like when you separate audiences randomly, and if a ratio jumps up with a certain amount, like there are even free tools. If you just type Google, like if my test is statistically significant, there'll be some free tools that gives you direct answer. Like you just type in the number of people were subject to the test, the number of people clicked. You just type in, it says, yeah, that's significant. And then you can just take it. You don't need to be a statistician, maths guy to do it.
So I have just a crazy thought that ran through my head. So if I have a social media profile, like I'm out on LinkedIn, is it a matter of simply putting up a green banner as my header picture on my profile for a week and see how many people view my profile, and then the next week do a blue banner, if you will? Is that enough to gather information, or how would I look at this, like grow my social media presence?
Yeah, like normally, if you wanted to work, like if that was your website, I would have recommended you to, test this by, in the same time, because, you may, something might have changed between those different time frames. But in LinkedIn, you don't have that control, so you cannot show at the same time one guy the blue, the other guy the green. But again, just based on the growth mindset that I tried to explain, you can just test it, but just be careful about this. For example, you have, 1,000 views of your profile a week, right? I'm just assuming it.
Right.
You need to understand, like, how many people. Also, like how many people click connect button somehow, like based on the number of connections you got in LinkedIn. So you actually have there a conversion rate, like say, like just thinking about it like this: 1,000 people views your account, and then 10 clicks to connect you. So it's like 0.1% conversion rate. So next time, let's say you change the background color, and then like you need to end the test whenever you see that like 1,000 views are hit. Like if you have more than 10 people connecting you, and that's a significantly more number, say like not just like 0.11, like, but I'm just trying to measure up from my head, but like it needs to be somewhere around like 0.27, 28. So if you see that, it means that like there were some statistically significant change of, improvement after you changed your background.
I got it. So is it a coincidence then that growth marketing and growth mindset share very similar mindsets? Because it was Carol Dweck who originally coined the phrase growth mindset versus having a fixed mindset. Is there an argument to be made that traditional marketing is a fixed mindset, if you will, versus growth marketing is more of this growth mindset? We're picking that
fight. I wouldn't like to put it that way, because then it would be it would be nice, let's say, like to be a nice guy here. But like just specifically talking about the growth side, right? Yes, I mean, like trying to grow in an environment that's really crowded, you need to be really resourceful. And in order to be resourceful, you need to work with data. That's actually the essence of the growth mindset, right? You need to understand what makes you sell, rather than like, I think that makes me sell. It's not enough in that world. So this applied to growth marketing is actually, it's pretty much the same thing. But like today, it just kind of become, rather than a mindset, just become a tactical thing, because there have been 20 years of like, by the introduction of internet in like the early 2000s, people were trying a lot of things. So it's just become a tactical thing. But in the same time, I'm trying to say that like everything that's known for growth marketing as those tactics may go obsolete in just a couple of years' time, because like it may, some, let's say there's now, chat GPT, AI stuff, there's now TikTok, like, which you've never heard before. So like the median change, like everything can change all of a sudden. So the adaptation, and then like, is becomes vital. And once you adapt, you're actually playing the same game. You're working with data, understanding what sells, and trying to implement, more of that. That's actually can be applied to popcorn stand, or just to apply to a, huge corporation like Microsoft, Google, whatever you can think of.
Yeah, that's we're doing a lot of studying right now on our business development activities, and putting a lot of metrics to things that we can control. So we're doing this LinkedIn reach out strategy right now, to where we actually have the numbers behind, how many reach outs lead to a connection, leads to somebody visiting a chapter, and the likes, and controlling that, and being able to see the results based off of activities. Now, there's too many variables in there to really say why it's working, why it's not working, but at least gives us an indication of what can be done. What other crazy out of the box ideas can people use to look for different avenues to apply growth marketing to their business? We're doing it from a business development, side of things, leading to a sales call. Is there other areas of their business they should be looking at to try and apply this?
Yeah. So, by the way, we are applying we have a freemium site, for example, and then we have the enterprise side where you need to offer phone calls. So games are completely different than each other. Like one side you play with SEO, but then you need to pour in people in huge numbers so that you can have people converting by themselves. But on the other side, there's this term, account-based marketing. You just come up with some target accounts and just do cold calls, and like you call 100 of them, one gets back on the phone, but like that deal is a couple of $100,000s of dollars, and like you get returns. So it depends on what you're trying to sell. And where I'm going to talk about an example here which I like the most. So there's a business theory that I've seen in a class. I don't know which you can find it on the internet or not, but like it goes like elephants versus mices. So like if you're selling mices, you need to sell them in bulk. Or like if you're selling elephants, you can just sell a few and then you'll be making the same money. So different ends of that scale is completely different games. For example, just think about, SpaceX, right? There's only a single sales guy, is the CEO, Elon Musk, because
right.
You're selling to governments. You don't need to have a big sales group. They won't be opening phone calls, or like you don't care with SEO, right? But if you're selling, for example, I don't know, something cheap and in mass, you need to do content marketing. You need to have SEO. Like you cannot just call everyone for something that goes for $2. First, you need to understand this. But as you said, SMBs, I'm assuming that like they are, hanging in the middle stages, because let's say, in the middle, not elephants, not mice, but in the middle stage. So I would like to coin a term here. Goats is a good idea. Yeah. And like, if you go, digital marketing, you need to have big budgets because it's getting expensive.
It's
or like if
stupid
you need to
expensive.
Content marketing, you need to have people writing. So I would be recommending something called account-based marketing, which is kind of a growing approach. So what you do is actually, come up with potential, like look at your own customers, understand who buys from you, and try to find people that are, similar to those people, and just call them, send them emails. It's finding, just target them on LinkedIn. It's free. Without spending any money, you can just pour people in. And thanks to the data stuff that you're using, you'll be able to understand if they're interested. And then, you keep on targeting them. And like, just think about this. I target 10 companies. Just 2 of them visits my company website. And then I can just particularly target these 2 companies in LinkedIn or in Facebook, but only 2 of those companies, and pour money in there. Otherwise, I mean, I could have just gone out there and like target everybody, say I'm selling to some specific industry. I could have been, trying to find needle in a haystack. But now I know that these two companies opened my email, so they might be interested. I'm just gonna, pour my money down there. Yeah.
So if our listeners are saying it's like, wow, this is really cool. This Bulut guy is really smart, and I need to start doing some of this stuff. What, as they're starting to implement growth marketing in their businesses, what are some of the common mistakes you've seen businesses make when they started to try going down the growth marketing road? And then how do they avoid them?
Yeah. The biggest mistakes I can say, I mean, I've done it myself as well, is the assumption side. Because assume that like you have you have a long family run business, let's say, or like been out there for more than 25 years. You will have a lot of assumptions about what works. Some of them are true, some of them may not be true. So once you're starting this, you need to really get your hands, dirty with data. And even if you don't have data, like you need to do a lot of experimentation, because assumptions may lead to, a very wrong place even to make your business fail. Because you might think that, like, for example, some demographic in some particular economic group is buying, but there might be something completely irrelevant that you didn't know is the main driver. So like you were pouring money into wrong. So just get rid of assumptions. Assume that you're starting that business from scratch. Then experimentations will become much fun and easier to do.
Oh, I got to find this out. So don't look like you're that old of a guy, but I can't think that in elementary school you grew up and said that I was going to get into data statistics, analysis, and all of these numbers and things. How the hell did you get into growth marketing?
Well, it's not really off, is what you said. Yeah, I mean, I used to have a SaaS startup, so I'm coming from that end. So I've been the developer, I've been the CEO, everything for that company, and then it started to turn into a consultation business. I've provided consulting services to all these companies out there, mainly SaaS. So actually, my initial experience was on product management. So because I was the guy dealing with everything, so someone had to be the product manager. I became the product manager. So then began my product management work. So like more than 10 years I've dealt with that. And then while dealing with product management, I argue a lot with marketing guys. So then, like, that journey actually pushed me down to growth marketing. So I don't know. That's right now. I'm mainly dealing with salespeople. So probably next job I'm going to do is on sales. So like, I mean, it actually comes from this. Like, I was building products, and then the growth and sales was trying to sell that. So, and then while I'm building a product, you talk with the product, the people using the product a lot. And you got the sense of, how it could be sold better. So that's kind of how it all began. Someone had to do it. I've done it. So that's kind of the journey.
And that's awesome. Man, this is some of that stuff that I could keep chasing you down a rabbit hole and asking a ton more questions. But at that point, I should be paying you for consulting services. So, but this has been fascinating, but I've really, really enjoyed sitting down and talking with you and figuring this all out. Any last recommendations or anything that you would give our listeners about getting into growth marketing and using it in their business?
Yeah, one thing, like just start trying it. Be pragmatic. You don't have to know anything. Just try to understand the user, run some simple tests, and you'll get the fun of it, and then it will just grow from there.
Love it. How do people find you, Bulut?
Just on LinkedIn, type my name, and you'll get me.
Awesome. And that'll be all in the show notes, guys. Bulut, thanks for hanging out with us, brother. It's been a hell of a conversation. I actually learned quite a bit, and hell, I took some damn notes. So I really appreciate you coming on here and hanging out with us.